All right, so you want to dive into the fascinating world of Albert Einstein, right?
Yeah.
Go beyond, like, the textbook, yeah.
Ugh.
Well, buckle up, because we're going deep on this one. Using the Enneagram to understand Einstein's life and work a little differently.
Okay.
So think of the Enneagram as this personality map.
Yeah.
9 types, all connected, each with their own, like, quirks and motivations. It's not as complicated as it sounds.
I think it's a really insightful lens to understand, like, what made Einstein tick,
Totally.
going beyond just, like, he was a genius, but,
Yep.
like, what were the driving forces behind, like, his actions and his impact on the world?
And get this, the video we're looking at, it actually suggests that Einstein wasn't just this, scientific genius, but a serious social activist. I was
Right.
surprised to learn about that side of him.
It really challenges that stereotype, right?
Totally.
Of the solitary genius kind of, like, locked away in their lab, not talking to people. But the video links this to his Enneagram type, identifying him as a type 5
Mm.
with a strong social instinct.
Okay, so for our listeners who aren't familiar with the Enneagram, paint a picture for us. What's a type 5?
Okay. Yeah.
What are we talking about here?
Yeah. So imagine someone who is constantly seeking knowledge, always asking why, always wanting to understand the underlying mechanisms of everything.
Okay.
That's like your classic type 5.
Yeah.
But what makes Einstein so interesting is how his social conscience really, like, shines through.
Right.
And that's where that social instinct comes in,
Okay.
because it suggests that his thirst for knowledge wasn't just about personal fulfillment. It was about using that knowledge to make a difference in the world.
And he definitely did that. I mean, the video highlights his pacifism, his opposition to fascism, his, like, unwavering support for civil rights.
Yeah.
This wasn't somebody just, like, hiding away in a lab. He was out there fighting for change.
Yeah. And it wasn't just like random acts of kindness. It was
Yeah.
very deeply rooted in, like, his personality and how he saw the world.
Hmm.
The Enneagram suggests that social fives, they find a sense of community and purpose through contributing their knowledge and, like, working towards the greater good.
So it's not the stereotypical, like, lone wolf type 5.
Exactly.
It's someone who's, like, engaging with the world and using their intellect to actually make change.
Absolutely.
Like, his passion for knowledge went beyond just the equations and the theories.
Yep.
And it fueled this desire for her, like, a better, more just world.
And you see that, like, in his work with different institutions like the NAACP,
Oh.
his very outspoken criticism of nuclear weapons,
Right.
like, really highlighting this connection between his intellectual curiosity and this, like, really strong desire for a better world. Like, he wasn't just a brilliant mind.
Right.
He was an advocate for humanity.
It makes you wonder, how did that social 5 part of him, like, affect his scientific work?
Yeah.
Did it change how he collaborated or how he approached problems?
That's such a good question, and I think the video offers some interesting clues. For example, it highlights Einstein's discomfort with authority
Right.
and his willingness to challenge, like, conventional thinking,
Yeah.
which, that independent streak, very classic type 5 trait. But I think his social instinct might have actually fueled his desire to, like, share his findings and collaborate with other people to really, like, push the boundaries of what we understand about science.
It's like his love of knowledge wasn't, like, just stuck in the lab.
Yeah.
It, like, spilled out into the world,
Right.
impacted how he interacted with people and, like, his activism.
Precisely.
Mm.
And that brings us to, I think, a really intriguing point that the video makes. This idea of Einstein as a totem.
Okay, totem. I'll be honest, I had to, like, look that one up.
Right.
What exactly does that mean?
Yeah, so think of it as like a symbol of, like, inspiration and guidance.
Mm-hmm.
Someone that other people look up to.
Okay, so like a beacon of knowledge. But the video takes it a step further, right? It's not just about being, like, revered and looked up to. It's this inner drive to uncover, like, groundbreaking truths. They call it, like, creating intellectual gold.
Exactly.
I love that.
And isn't that the perfect way to describe Einstein's work?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like, his theories, especially relativity, EMC.
Right.
Like, that wasn't just, like, a discovery. It was, like, unearthing this, like,
Uh-huh.
nugget of pure intellectual gold.
Totally.
That just changed how we understand, like, everything about the universe.
It's like he had this, like, insatiable curiosity, this need to, like, dive deep into these mysteries of existence
Mm.
and bring back these golden nuggets to, like, share with everybody.
Exactly. And I think that's where you see his type 5 and his social instinct, like,
Mhm.
intertwining so beautifully, right?
Mm.
Because it's that type 5 drive to understand, to find these like fundamental principles that are governing, like the cosmos.
Right.
But it's amplified by this social instinct
Right.
of wanting to share that understanding.
Right. So it's not just knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It's
Yeah.
about like using it to illuminate,
Yeah,
using it to like solve problems and push the boundaries of what we know.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And this brings us to like another layer of Einstein's personality
Mhm.
that I think the video does a really good job of kind of teasing out.
Mhm.
This idea that like not all type 5s are created equal, right?
Right.
That there's a spectrum of health within each of the Enneagram types.
Yeah, so it's not enough to just go around saying, like, oh, this person's a type 5, right? It's like, you have to understand, like, are they a healthy type 5 or, maybe a less healthy type 5?
Exactly.
How does that manifest?
Yeah. And to illustrate this point, they contrast Einstein with Isaac Newton,
Okay.
another, brilliant mind who like very well could have also been a type 5.
Right. Okay, so what makes Newton a good comparison then? I mean, he revolutionized physics.
He did. But, unlike Einstein, Newton seemed to really struggle more with like the potential pitfalls of the type 5.
Right.
So undeniably a genius, but also battled with bouts of like paranoia,
Right.
emotional instability,
Okay.
and like even a certain rigidity in his thinking,
Okay.
where it's like he had all the intellectual firepower of a 5, but maybe lacked some of the emotional balance
Yeah.
and the social awareness that Einstein, I think, seemed to possess.
Oh, totally. So he's firing on all cylinders intellectually, but maybe missing some of the other pieces.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. And I think what the video is suggesting is that this kind of like less healthy expression of the 5 might have contributed to some of his challenges,
Yeah.
like interpersonally,
Right.
his difficulty collaborating effectively with others.
Which makes you wonder, how did Einstein kind of like swerve around those pitfalls?
Right.
What made him different?
Well, I think it goes back to, this strong social instinct that we've been talking about.
Right.
The video argues that that played a really key role in his overall well-being.
Okay, so instead of like isolating himself with just his research, that pull to, connect with the world, share what he was learning and contribute, that helped him stay like more balanced.
Exactly. And I think you see it. You see it in his life.
Yeah.
His commitment to social justice, like, his humor, his willingness to engage in debates,
Mm-hmm.
to like really challenge kind of like the conventional thinking of the time.
Right.
These all point to, I think, a more balanced, integrated type 5.
It's wild, though, how much this Enneagram lens can reveal about someone, even someone as, world famous as Einstein.
Right.
But I think what's really inspiring about it is, how his story, it kind of shows us that we can embrace our own complexities,
Yes.
and like actually try to strive for that healthy expression of ourselves.
Absolutely. I think it's a really powerful reminder that like understanding our strengths, our weaknesses, and how these kind of like interact with the world around us, that can lead to a much more fulfilling life
For sure.
and a much more impactful life.
Totally. And speaking of impact, let's go back to that idea of Einstein as like a totem.
Yes.
And like this pursuit of intellectual gold.
Mm.
It's like his whole life was kind of embodied this pursuit of like uncovering these fundamental truths.
Right.
And it wasn't just for himself. It was to like share it with the world.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. His relentless pursuit of a unified theory,
Right.
a theory that could explain like how the entire universe works.
Right.
I mean, that speaks volumes about this kind of drive.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about solving a scientific puzzle.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
It was about understanding the very like fabric of existence
Right.
and then sharing that with everybody.
It's like he was on this huge quest.
Right.
Driven by this like thirst for knowledge and also like deep down this desire to use that knowledge to actually do something
Yeah.
to make things better.
Exactly.
And isn't that something like we can all aspire to?
Absolutely.
Like embracing our own curiosity, never stop learning,
Mhm.
and finding those ways to use our gifts to like leave the world better than we found it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful reminder that we're all capable of making a difference, no matter how big or how small.
Totally.
And, who knows? Maybe we all have a little bit of that like Einsteinian totem inside of us,
Right.
just waiting to be kind of awakened.
I love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of awakening that totem inside of all of us, the video, kind of leaves us with this really interesting question.
Yeah.
How can we be more like Einstein? Like, how can we use what we understand about ourselves, about the world, to make positive change?
It's a question worth, like, sitting with for a little bit, right?
Totally.
And to kind of, like, help us on that journey, of self-discovery and impact, they highlight one of my favorite Einstein quotes,
Oh, okay.
which is, "Life is like riding a bicycle.
Okay.
To keep your balance, you must keep moving."
I've heard that quote before, but I never really thought about it in the context of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like he's saying you can't just stop
Right.
intellectually or in any other way, really. You got to keep moving to stay balanced.
Yeah, to, like, really live. Yeah.
To really live.
You have to keep exploring. You have to keep questioning.
Yeah.
Keep pushing forward.
And it's like you were saying, when you think about his life through that lens, his learning wasn't just about these abstract theories. It was really tied to his desire for a more just world.
Absolutely. Think about his involvement with the peace movement.
Right.
How outspoken he was against nuclear weapons. His advocacy for civil rights.
Yeah.
These weren't just, side projects for him, These were, real extensions of his core belief that to understand the world, you also have to work to improve it.
Totally, yeah. It's that intellectual gold thing I get. For him, it wasn't just about oh, I had this breakthrough. It's how can this breakthrough help us create a better future?
Precisely. And I think that's what makes his story so, inspiring, Because he reminds us that knowledge is at its most powerful
Yeah.
when it's shared,
Right.
when it's used to, lift other people up
Yeah.
and address the, challenges that we're facing.
It's a big message for all of us, no matter what our, Enneagram type is, what our job is.
100%.
We've got a responsibility to, take what we know, our skills, our passions, and actually do something with it.
I couldn't agree more. Whether we're tackling these huge, global issues,
Right.
or we're just trying to, brighten somebody's day,
Yeah.
Every act of kindness, every time we try to make a difference, that
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. It all adds up.
It does. It all adds up.
So, as we kind of wrap up this deep dive on Einstein, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling a renewed sense of purpose
Me too.
and just a much deeper appreciation for, how much knowledge and action and actually making a difference, how connected those all really are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
And that, our desire to understand the world, it should go right alongside our efforts to actually make the world better.
Totally. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from Einstein's whole deal, right? Real genius, it's not just about how smart are you? It's about using that to light the way forward.
Yes.
So next time you feel totally overwhelmed by everything going on in the world, remember, life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving. So keep learning, keep asking questions, keep trying to make things better, and who knows what you'll discover along the way, right?
I love that.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, everybody.